Consultant, sir. Samosi, sir. Afternoon, sir.
Hi, Jay. Afternoon. Consultant K. Me, I'm doing consultant too. How are you doing?
Fine. No. As your name was the first name I just saw. I just say, consultant is there. We are blessed to have the consultant in our midst.
Wale, why are you wearing singlet to class? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Farah. How are you doing?
Madam Vera, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Hi, Jay. Thank you for reminding us every time. You are doing a good job.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Try.
Yeah, it's recommendable. Well done, Nigel.
Oh my God. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma. Let's just wait a little. I'm sure Dr. Francis will soon join us.
Yeah, please, do you want to mute?
Hello.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon, guys. How are you?
Fine. Welcome back.
Yeah,
Good afternoon, Dr. Francis. You're
Yeah,
welcome back, sir.
Yeah, how are you?
Very well, sir.
Great.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, afternoon. Thank you. So how was our last session?
Good afternoon, Doc.
Yeah, afternoon. Okay, since we didn't do Python, right? For last week.
No, we did Excel.
Okay.
We went back to Excel or those Excel functions.
Go see.
Oh, okay. That's fine. That's fine. All right, so we can start now, right?
Yes.
All right, good. So for Python, where do we stop? Where do we stop in Python?
Or certain values in ascending and descending order.
Okay. So are we done with missing data?
Well, I think we did fill and one other thing. I'm not sure if we're done.
Okay, let's just recap quickly what we have done. So what do I need to do first now? So what do I need to do first?
So that'll be your screen. Okay.
I have to what?
No, your as in to do first. It'll be your screen. Like you can't see your screen.
You can't see. Okay, okay. You can't see my screen. Okay. All right. So what do I need to do now?
What
So import all the importations.
Import what?
Pandas, PD, NumPy.
PDS, import NumPy as MP. Okay, in case we are, but I don't show you. Are you using any random numbers? We can just create one. I think we created some data set last time. So df equals to pd.data frame, right? But now we're going to put in a dictionary, right? Let's say we have what do we use? What example can we use now? Let's say we have maybe Nigeria, then maybe we have set of values. Maybe we have population is 200 million. Maybe we have growth rate of 0.2. Maybe what again do we have? Okay, let's use an empty thing. An empty value, so that will give us a null value, right? Or let's use round whole number so that we can understand the example. So let's say 200, 100, so that one will be empty. Let's say we have another one, let's say 500. Okay, good. So next one, so let's say we have what now? Let's say we have Ghana. You have to put here. So here, let's say we have 250. Let's say we have 300, 200. Let's say we have mp.len, mp.len. So how many do we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, that's fine. Then maybe one more. So let's say we have, which other one again? Let's say we have South Africa. So let's say we have 100. Okay, let's say I'm using numbers. So let's say I have 100, 200, let's say 800. All right. What's the problem here? So what's the problem here? Yes.
Invalid syntax.
Yes. What's the problem?
We're supposed to.
You're supposed to what?
Supposed to be a curly bracket.
Yes, because this is a dictionary, isn't it? So we need what? A curly word bracket. Good, good, good. And you see, that's a very important skill that you should be able to learn, right? That once you see the errors, you should be able, okay, they must be of the same length. So which one is not of the same length? Okay, here. Let's say 200. So let's see 250. All right. So what again is missing? What again is missing?
Closing brackets.
Close the bracket. Good. All right. So you see now, to some extent, once you see errors, now I think you can read them now, know where the error is coming from, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
And that's very important. Why? Because once you understand the skill of how to identify the errors, at least you now know what to look for. Okay, that means you can always learn it on your own. Because the frustrating part is that when you have error, you don't even know where to start from. That's what can be frustrating. That's why I say the more errors you have, you should be happy about it, because that's where you're actually learning. Okay, so most time you see in practice, there are two things that will always happen. There are two things that will always happen. First of all, most time you may have inconsistent data and incomplete data. Okay, because remember, irrespective of the data type that we have, most times the data may be structured or unstructured. So at the end of the day, we want to see how we can convert that unstructured data to a structured data. So when we say structured data, what do we mean by structured data?
With rows and columns.
Yes, in table form like this, isn't it? So somehow we want to transform what data that are unstructured into what a structured form. Okay. And what we are going to see that sometimes when we collect this data, either they are inconsistent or what incomplete. Okay. And this what leads to missing data when you have them incomplete. Okay. Now, how you handle missing data now depends on your objective. Okay, it depends on your what objectives. Now, if your objective is to forecast, right? Then if I have missing data, then different things we can do. What are the options to handle missing data?
Can use an average.
Yes, you can use an average, yes. What again?
You can drop the missing
You can
rows,
drop.
and you
What
can
again?
fill.
You can what?
You can fill with the
You can
mean.
fill, is it not? Either mean, median, maximum, minimum, whatever value you want, right? All right, good. So that's fine. But some other situations, you must have to go and look for the source and put the data back there if you can get it. But if you cannot get it, then drop it. Okay. So that's just basically it. So you must understand what you are trying to achieve. And sometimes before dropping your data, right? And that's where your domain knowledge now comes in understanding the context in which you are either dropping that data, whether it has any implication later. Okay. So for this case, once we have collected our data, so one thing we need to check is whether they are missing what data. So how do we check if they are missing data? How do we check if they are missing data? How do we check if they are missing data? Yes. How do we check if they are missing data?
You use distinct.
Distinct. So df.distinct like this.
No, I'm just trying to refer to.
Okay. So how do we check if they are missing data?
We do df.drop NA.
But before you drop any, now you need to first of all check, are they there?
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
So how do we check if they are missing data?
Do we do df.NA?
df dot what?
I said NA, but I'm not sure it's correct. I just said NA.
Any like this. Doesn't know what you are saying now.
No. We could try df.null.
Null. Doesn't know what you are saying.
Or is null. Or
It's null. Is null. Yep. Can you see that? So where you see true, true means what?
there is
True
missing
means
data.
False means what?
Is not
Available
missing.
data.
No missing
Yeah.
data.
No missing data, exactly. Okay, so if I say df dot is null, right? Dot sum. Can you see that? Dot sum. It will just list them out and tell you how many there are in each of them. Can you see that? So when we want to check it in full, is df dot is null dot sum. Can you see that? So that means if we have missing data, we want to drop the missing data. How do we drop missing data now? How do we drop missing data?
Vera said it just now.
What?
Df.drop NA.
Drop NA, right? Df.drop what? NA. So now this one we have dropped them, right? Now, but remember, if it is you know, the thing is that if I check df again, you see the full data is still there. So if I want to, this means it's permanent, it's a temporary here. But if I want to drop it permanently, how do I drop it permanently?
In place equals true.
In place equals to what? True. Right? In place equals to what? True. So if I run it now, it's now permanent. Okay. So if we want to get back our data, we need to go back here and run it again. All right. Good. So if I run that, so I have it there, right? Okay, so that's one way of doing it. Okay, so in place equals to true. Now, for example, this one means we are dropping it all row by row, isn't it? Because by default, it will drop it row by row. But if I want to drop it by column, I want to drop by column now. Any column with missing data, drop it for me. How do I do that? Because remember, very soon we are going to be using very large data sets, right? So you must understand how the syntax work so that you know what you are doing. Okay, because when I say drop, so by default, it's going to drop it row by row. So assuming it was a column that I had one column all missing. So what do I now do? Can you see that? So what do we now do to drop missing data on the column? Yes? How do I drop missing data on the column?
Can we transpose first?
Transpose. So you want to transpose it, then now drop. Then now drop it. Okay. Yeah, that can still work, but there's a much easier way now. Remember now, we talked about axis now. Isn't it? Axis equals to what? 1. Remember, axis equals to 0 is by default 0. Okay, so if I say df.drop NA, if I use shift tab, so you can see that when you read through it, you can see what it will tell you. Where is axis? Can you see axis? 0. That's for the row by default, 0. 1 is for columns. 1 is for columns. Or you see 0, instead of it's calling it the row, it's calling it the index. Can you see that? It's calling it the index. Okay. And these are other examples that you can also use. Can you see that? These are other examples you can also use. So that's how, if you want to also learn, you just come here. Once you press shift tab, you can just even copy this one out. Can you see, to create the data frame for you? Then you can now start doing whatever you want. All right. Are we clear with this now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. All right, good. Vera, are you following?
Yes, Dr. Francis, I am.
Okay. All right. Okay. Good. All right. Let's go. So we have seen how to check for missing data. We have seen how to drop them either by the rows or what, by the word columns. Okay. Then sometimes we may also need to fill it. Okay. We may also need to what, fill it, maybe with a particular value or a particular text. Okay. So that one. So if we want to fill, how do we fill? How do we fill?
Fill NA.
Fill NA, isn't it? Fill NA. And don't forget that when we are learning this, we are learning it from an Excel point, right? So the same way when we see missing data in Excel, how do you handle it in Excel? If it was in Excel, how would you have done it now? Maybe
We
you have
filter
this,
it.
you
we filter
filter,
it
is it
out.
not? Then
Yes.
to fill this data now, what we have also done in Excel,
Find and replace
find and replace, is it not? So anywhere I see what now?
blanks.
Blanks, is it not? I will put whatever value I want, right? So it's just like a find and replace, okay? So that's the same way. You first of all think about if I was in Excel, how would I have done it in Excel? Okay, now I know what to do in Excel. I'll now ask myself, okay, can I replicate this same thing in Python? Or does Python have an alternative way of doing it? Those are just the two questions you ask yourself, okay? So here, if we want to fill any now, so it means that anywhere I see, so this is a function called fill any. So anywhere I see any, what should I fill it with? So I'll say value equals to what now? So if I say fill it with Francis, okay? So it means that anywhere I see an empty value, I'll call it what? Francis. Or I'll say fill it with what? With null. So anywhere I see it, I'll put what? Null there. Isn't it? Now, if I say df dot is null, and it's still telling us what? That is what? True, is it not? That is still missing, right? What if I say fill any Francis, right? So if I see Francis, it's still telling me, I don't know what they are saying, no. But all I'm seeing, there are still some more text. Now you see, this any means what?
Like not available. Like no value.
So it's values we are looking out for, right? Values, right? Not a value, not a value. But you see, again, that's why when you see these things, you now need to ask yourself, does it make sense that where there are numbers here, I am putting a text? Can you see that? So you also need to ask yourself those questions, whether it is appropriate to put text or what, put numbers there, okay? Now, the same way, some people can also say, okay, if I don't want that, then another thing I can do is df.fill any. Now, I want to fill a particular column, or either I fill a particular column, or I will fill I'll fill everywhere that I see empty values, right? With a particular number. So which one do we want to do? So let's say, for example, now, let's say, for example, you check. So if I want to summarize this data, right, df. If I want to summarize it, how do I summarize it? How do I summarize it? If I want to do like a summary or descriptive statistics of this, how do I do that?
The desk.
df dot what? Describe. Maybe. Is it describe? So
Yes.
to summarize, so you have the count, you have the mean, you have the minimum, you have the maximum. Okay, good. So what do we want to fill it with? Can you see that? What do we want to fill with?
With the mean.
With the mean, okay? With the mean. Now, if we look at this, this is the mean, right? So if I say df, so if I want to pick a particular one, let's say df Nigeria, isn't it? So this is for Nigeria, dot the mean, right, of Nigeria. So this is the mean. So you see, this mean is this mean. Can you see that?
Yes, sir.
That's the average. If you want to do, is there a sum here? There's no sum here, right? But if I do the same thing and say, okay, let me add up. So can you see that is the sum there? Okay. Which other one can we do again? If you want to do the median, the same way I can pick, this is median. That's the median. Do we have median there? Can you see median is there? So when you see the 50 percentile, right, that is the middle value. Okay. Which other one can we do again? So we have seen minimum, we have seen max. So minimum, maximum, they are all almost the same thing there, okay? All right. So if I have here df dot fill any, right? Fill any. What are we filling the any with? Where value is equals to what?
Equal to mean.
But if I say df dot mean, what is it doing here? Df dot mean, what is it doing?
It's giving the mean of each column.
It's giving the mean of what?
Of everything.
Of each column.
So to come here and say, give me the mean of this, fill the mean of this. Anyway, I see it, fill in the mean of this, right? This one, okay, we don't have any missing one here. Okay, so it's filling it with the mean of it, right? It's filling with the mean of it, for each of them to go one by one. But if we do the same thing, df dot fill any, I will say value is equals to df. So let's pick for Nigeria. So Nigeria is 2.66. Okay, let me use Ghana. Let's say Ghana, right? So where Ghana, we want to fill it with the mean of Ghana. So what is the mean of Ghana?
225.
225. Okay, so if we run that now, so it means that anywhere I see empty, give me what? Do you see that? Anywhere that I see a missing data, give me what? 225. So 225, 225, 225. Can you see that now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So remember, when do we use the mean and when can we use the median?
I think median is preferred when they are outliers.
Yes, when they are outliers. Then how will you know an outlier?
It's greater than three standard deviations from the mean.
Okay, greater than 3 standard deviations from the mean. Okay. But what's the easiest way of getting if it's an outlier or not? What is the easiest way to see if there's an outlier or not?
Can we just use our eye and look through all the figures and then just start picking out?
If you have up to 1 million data sets, now how will you use your eye?
Can you use a scatter graph?
A scatter graph. Okay, scatter graph. But the easiest way, remember when we ran this now, df dot describe. Right? Well, how will you know if there's an outlier here? How will you know if there's an outlier here?
The max and min.
Thank you. That's all now. You are using the minimum and maximum. So it is your domain knowledge, it's not of the data or where the data is coming from, that will help you interpret whether there's an outlier there or not. Do you get that? When we get to visualization, we'll now show you box plots. I'm sure we did it in Excel, box plots. Okay, you see it here again, and where it goes outside the distance, put a star there. That's to tell you that that's an outlier there. So the moment you see that that's an outlier, it means that rather than you using the mean, you are going to now use what? The median. Okay, so yes, that is it. You can use the mean, you can use what? The median. Okay, okay, are we okay with that? Are we okay with that?
So I don't understand a little how to use mean. I thought maximum and minimum are the absolute maximum value and absolute minimum value.
When you look through now, yes, now that's the value now. It's just like looking at the data, right? when you look at the data, for example, this is the actual data here, right? What's the
Yes.
minimum value in this Nigeria?
200. Oh, sorry, 100.
100. What's the maximum?
500.
500, isn't it? So by the time I look at it, I will see the 100, I will see the 500. You know, so what we are
Yes.
saying that it is your domain understanding of the meaning of this data or these numbers that will help you interpret whether this is an outlier or not. You get that?
Okay.
It's just like, for
Okay.
example, we have temperature, right? We have temperature. A normal human being temperature should lie between what and what?
36.5, 37.4.
Okay. So assuming I'm now saying 50. Can you see that? If I can see 50 there, then that already is telling me something. Okay. But you see, if you are just a data analyst, you just sit as a number. So that's why I'm telling you, your domain is what will help you interpret every other thing you are doing. So by the time you look at the number, your understanding of that, where that data is coming from, will help you interpret whether that's an outlier or not. Do you get that?
Okay, sir.
Yeah. There are some other things, you know, for example, in the okay, I'm not sure we did it in Power Query. Well, have we done Power Query yet? But in Excel, do you remember in the Excel, do you remember your field series?
Yes.
In Excel, field series. You know, for example, right? You know, for example, where you are going, although this data set is small, I would have liked us to use a larger. Okay, let us use this and see if it will work. Now, if you see this now, this is Nigeria. So you have 200, 100, not available 500, right? So in Excel, there's something called field. What they call that? Let me check. In Excel, see your data. I'm sure it's in your home. Yes. In Excel, have anybody used fill up or fill down? In your Excel, have you ever used fill up or fill down before?
Yes,
No.
I think I have.
Eh?
I think I have used it to fill something down and up.
Yeah, so if you are going down, so whatever this is, you used to fill the next one. Whatever it is, used to fill the next one. Right? So sometimes that's also another powerful tool in Excel. So when we get to, I think when we are doing Power Query, although it's still in Excel too, but when we are doing Power Query, I think we can also look at that, okay? So it's called fill down or fill up, okay? Fill up, fill down, okay? So what it simply means is that once I see any missing data, I will fill whatever I see, I'll fill it here. Whatever I see, I'll fill it here. So that's like fill forward, or forward fill. If you are going upwards, it's like backward fill. So forward fill, you are going downwards. Backward fill, you are going upwards. Okay. So in that case, so the same way you have it in Excel, you can also do that. So for example, if I say tf.fill NA, but in this case, you now say the method will now be a fill forward. So fill, can you see forward fill? Forward fill. So let's run that. Can you see what has happened? Can you see what has happened? Can you see hundreds? Fill it with hundreds. Can you see 200s? Fill it with 200s. Can you see that?
Yes.
So that's called a forward fill or fill forward. In your Excel, it's called fill down. In your Excel, it's called fill down. Now, because I'm looking for other examples I can use. Let me see what that example. Okay, let's see where we created this data set now, right? Let's say, for example, let's say, for example, we take. So rather than us using this one, let me use Okay, let me use Francis here. Then here MP dot NAN. Here use MP dot NAN. So let me run that now and check. So you see Francis there. So it means that if I use that field forward, now what will it do?
All the lines 1, 2, and 3 on Nigeria will be Francis.
It will be Francis here. Field df dot field NA. So method is supposed to field forward field. Can I see that Francis? Can I see that wherever I see the pick next on next, pick the next offering like that. Okay. If for example here was okay, let's say here was MP dot NAN. Okay, let me run that and see. So this is what we have here. So if I run it like this, now you notice that this one did not fill it. Isn't it? For this gun, I did not fill it. Can you see that? Because it's going forward. Because there was no missing data
Before it.
So what do we now do in that case?
Oh, backward fill.
That you can now use a backward fill. So if I say df dot fill NA method equals to backward fill. Let's run that. Now do you see what it has done there? It has gone backward. But remember, because this data was not permanent, that's why, right? So it just went backward to fill it. So if you want to have put it permanently, let's say for example, I have done this. Let's say I'll call this df1 forward fill, isn't it? So if I run df1, this is data set, right? So if I have df1 dot fill NA method equals to backward fill. Can you see that now? Have you seen it now?
Okay, yeah. So you have to rename it first.
Yeah, you have to just call it a new variable, or you have used in place equals to true to make it permanent. Are you clear? But you know this one here, we are using the entire, let's say for example, df, right? You know here we are using so when we are using fill NA here, we are using the entire table. But you know sometimes you don't want to fill all of them. So for example, if it's just only Nigeria I want to fill only Nigeria. So maybe I'll say dfn is equals to, so I want only Nigeria. So how do I select only Nigeria?
df dot bracket Nigeria.
Okay. Nigeria here.
So I want to fill it.
Yes, I want to fill it forward.
Okay, dot fill NA.
Dot fill NA.
Method equal to fill.
Forward fill. So if I say dfn now this is for Nigeria, isn't it? So we are filled. Now let me see. You see, in this case now, what did we do? What did we do?
We only called Nigeria.
We only called Nigeria, right? But you see, we expected that this Nigeria alone. So if I have dfn, can you see what it has done? It's only picking one of the variables.
Okay.
It's only picking one of the variables for us. So what else can we do? So let's say, for example, say DFN equals to DF dot Nigeria, right? Let's say dot Nigeria dot ENA and say method equals to what? P forward fill. So let's say DF. Now don't forget again that these are two different. This one means you are only working with one column. Is it not? You're only working with one column. But this DF, but this your DF, right, is the entire data set. Is that not it?
Yes.
So how do we check that? Let it take only one. But the point is that you see, sometimes even when you want to select one, right, it will have to work all of them. So you remember it's going row by row now, isn't it? Because by default it's index, isn't it? So that is why it's just picking all of them for you. Otherwise, if you have done that, you can pick this, then come and take this one now, come and add it back to this one. Okay. But the point here is that you need to also understand how you want to fill it. So sometimes if I want to just pick a particular column, I can just only select the particular column and work on that column. Okay. But that is for fill NA, that is for fill backwards. Okay. Now there are some other things again we can look out for. Can we create? Okay, let's create this. Let's create another data set. Let's create another data set. Maybe that one will also help us. Let's create data sets. Now, the reason why I'm always creating data sets, sometimes when your data is unstructured, you want to see how you can move it from that unstructured form towards a structured form. So the more you practice how to use unstructured, isn't it, data, the better for you, that you can move it from that unstructured to a proper word data frame. So if I have, for example, data is equals to, let's say we have, which one? Do we do pivot tables? Did I show you how to do pivot tables?
Sir.
No, sir. So we have not done pivot tables, right?
Oh, yes, sir. You cited it.
Yes, sir, we haven't.
But you cited it in one of the lectures, but we've not really done it. We just made reference to it one time.
Okay. Pivot table. Okay, let's see how we can. Okay, let's create this one. Let's say we have companies.
That is not a sign of love. Okay.
Let's say Google. We have Google. We have. So let me create that one again. So we can have maybe two or three of the same thing. Then we can have maybe Microsoft. So let me copy that. Microsoft. Then we have, let's say, Facebook. All right, good. So how many do we have here? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, 9. All right, 9. Okay, that's fine. So let's say, let's say we have employees. So let's say we have Francis. Let's say we have IJ. Let's say we have Vera. How many people do we have here now? We have 9, right? So it should match. Because remember, if it doesn't match, now it will give you error, isn't it? So let's say we have again. Let's say we have Idris. Let's see, we have who again?
Moses.
Let's say we have Moses. So many 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, we need some more.
We have James.
James. Okay, yes, we again.
We have Maria.
Maria.
We have Olumide.
Olumide. Okay, so are we up to 9 now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So one more, I think one more so that
Lukman.
So we have Lukman. All right, good. Okay, so let's say we have maybe sales. We have sales. So let's say we have sales. So let's say we have 200, we have 400, we have 500, we have 650. Okay, let's say we have 210. Let's say we have 300. Let's say we have 700. Let's say we have 1,000. Let's say we have 120. So how many left? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. One more. Let's say we have 900. All right. So I hope we have not made any errors so far. So let's run. Okay, what data? Good. So we have it this way, right? So if I was to put in the data frame, how do I put in the data frame now?
ed.data.
Yes, and another thing you should take note of, there are some files they will refer to as JSON files. JSON. Have you heard of a JSON file?
Yes, sir.
We've seen it, but we don't know.
We have seen it, Abi.
But we don't know. I don't know what it means.
JSON file. So it's like what they call JavaScript. Is it JavaScript? It's a file extension for JavaScript. Okay. And sometimes the way the file comes in, it will come in this form. It will come in this form. And this form you already seen is already what? A dictionary. Okay. So sometimes when you put the data, it may already come in this form. And it's not yet a table. Isn't it? So to do it in a table, you have to convert it to what? A data frame. So how do we convert to a data frame? So I can say df is equals to what? pd dot what? Data frame. Then data, isn't it? Then I run my df. So this is the data set that we have, right? So if you were in your Excel, right? If you're in Excel, what you have done? If you're in Excel, what we have done in Excel?
You'd have converted it to table, Control T.
To table, isn't it? Control T, yes. Then what next? Then what next?
Then you analyze with pivot table.
You analyze with a pivot what table, isn't it? And what that pivot table is doing for you is to summarize this for you. Okay, either you're summarizing by companies, by employees, by sales, right? And remember again, you're analyzing qualitative by quantitative. So it means I want to analyze companies by sales or employees by sales. Is that not it? Is that not what we normally do?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So here, if I want to now summarize it and now say, okay, let me find out how much sales was made by Google, by Microsoft, or let's say how much sales was made by the employees. Can you see that? So you can still summarize them in that case. But for employees, we only have one. Assuming it was repeated, then it would be easier to summarize it. But let's use companies, since companies are quite a lot. So we would have had, let's say, Google. So we'll add up 1, 2, 3, or find the average, any of them. So here you have df.group by. I think we also did group by in your SQL, isn't it? df.group by. And so what do I want to group by? So let's say by the mean. Okay, can you see the group by the mean? So to take the average, or you want to take the sum. Okay, let me leave it like that. So this is the mean. So the same way, I can say df.group by let's say companies dot sum. Can you see that? It will add it up. So the same way you can find minimum, maximum, median, what again? Mean, median, maximum, minimum, median, right? So those are some of the basic statistics you can do. Okay, so that's the same way you can also summarize your data. And you know, this is also your pivot table, right? This is almost like your pivot table. What you do your pivot table?
Yes, sir.
Isn't it? When we drag companies to one side, take sales to where? You drag your companies to which? Where we drag companies to? Is it the row, column, values? Which one?
Column.
You take it to where?
Column.
Row.
You take it to where?
A row.
The row, isn't it? Take it to row, then take the sales to where?
To value.
To values, exactly.
Value.
Exactly. Okay. And that's what it's going to now do for you. Okay. And that is the same way what you are doing here. And again, the same way you do that, you can also have TF dot group by another important one again. Let's say companies. You can now do the count. You can now do a count. Can you see that? To now count them for you. Okay. You can also do what? A count. Okay. And remember again, in case you want to summarize, you can say df dot describe. Can you see that? To summarize only the quantitative values. Only the quantitative value. If you want to do a transpose, you can say dot t. It will transpose it for you like this. Or you can type transpose there. Okay. So you can do that. Okay. So this is just to summarize the data. Okay. If you want to do that, you can also type transpose. Or dot t. It will still work. Dot t, it will still work. Even if you look at it, df dot transpose. Can you see that? It will still work for you. Okay, it will still work for you. Then we talked about sorting, isn't it? That yes, we can sort our data. So, for example, if I have df dot sort values. Okay, so what am I? Let's say I'm sorting my sales. Sales, right? How am I sorting it? Is it in ascending or descending order? How do I want to sort?
Descending.
Descending means what?
From highest to lowest.
Highest to lowest, but by default, in most programming or most software, it is ascending order, isn't it? So if I say ascending is equals to what? False. Because by default, it is usually true. Do you see that? So it will now sort it out for you. Are you clear with that?
Okay, sorry, Dr. Francis, but if you don't write ascending equals to false.
By default, no, by default now, it will be true. By default, it will be true. If you look at it, df dot sort values, right? Then I press shift tab. Ascending, can you see it's already true? So I have to set this true to false.
Okay.
And that's why.
But you always have to, okay, if you want it for to come in from ascending, do you need to put
They
that
don't,
as-
you don't no, you just run it that way. Just run it like this. It will work. Let me comment. Sort a, let's see, sort from highest to smallest value. Okay, good. So you're clear with this now, isn't it? Are we clear with this now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now there are some situations where okay, I would have imported the data, but let's still use this one and see how it will work. So let's say, for example, we already have Okay, let's create another one. Let's add something to it. Let's add maybe we can add, let's add region to it. Let's say we have regions. So let's say we have regions. So what are the regions we have? So let's say we have north. Let's say we have west. Let's say we have south. Let's say we have north. Let's say we have east. Let's say we have east. Let's say we have west. Let's say we have west.
Southwest. How about if we include complex region, southwest?
You said what?
I say if we include a compound region, southwest.
Okay, southwest. Okay, that's fine. So let's add that. So let's say data. Okay, so let's convert it to a data. Let's say df dot what? So df is equals to what? PD dot what? Data frame data, right? So I have my df. So I have something like this, right? Good. Now you see in your Excel, right? You know you can put this in your pivot table, isn't it? Let's say, for example, we have, if I draw my pivot table, if we want to do our pivot table, what does the table look like? What does the table look like? So you have your rows here, isn't it? So these are your rows, right? This is your column, isn't it? And these are your values. This is in Excel now.
Yes.
Isn't it? This is in Excel. Okay. So we know this, whatever will be here will be our values, isn't it? Then here we can pick whatever is our row or our column. Now you see in Python, what you are calling row is actually your index. Is that not it? In Python now, this will be what you are calling your row is your what? Index. Right? Why these are your what? Columns. Okay. So whatever I want to build, I will now ask myself, okay, which one is my index? Which one will be my columns? Which one will be my values? Can you see that? So if, for example, here, what should be on our row now? What should we pick on our row? What can we pick in our row?
It could be the names because it's unique, or it's only unique.
It can be names. Okay, it can be names. Okay, yes, you can have names there. Okay, you can even have companies. That means these companies, how many companies we now have on the rows? How many companies do we have?
3.
3, isn't it? We have just 3. So we would have had what? We would have had
Google, Microsoft, Facebook.
Microsoft and what? Facebook. Is it not? Let's say on the columns now, we are looking for what now? Let's say the regions, isn't it? So we have had north, west, south, is it not? East, what again? Southwest. Something like this, right? Then inside here, we'll now have what? The sales values. I think this I would have done it in your pivot table, in your Excel now.
Yes.
So that same thing is what we want to try to build here. Okay, so let's look at it now. In your pandas, right? So what you do here, so what's the data? So df dot what? So we also call it what? Pivot. Okay, now what is index? What is index?
Index is the companies.
The rows now where you have the
Companies.
That's your companies, right? Index is your companies, is it not? What are your columns?
Region.
Your columns is what? Region.
Region.
Okay. What are your values?
Sales.
Your values is what? Sales. Let's see what's missing there. Cannot reshape. Index contains duplicate entries. Where is our duplicate entries? Okay.
Microsoft, Facebook.
So it didn't summarize it for us, but it just only took the distance. So let's say, for example, we have employees here. Let's say employees. Is this one work now? Yes, it has worked. It has worked. Okay. So that means that to summarize each the other way, what will I have done now? What would we have done if I was to now take, because remember this is your index now, right? So that you have index 0, 1, 2, 3. So for you to summarize that now, we would have just used our normal group by, isn't it? Your normal group by. But where you want to have the full data in this way, then in that case, whatever you have in your index supposed to be what unique. I think that was what the error was about. Okay. Alternatively,
multi-index.
You said?
Well, multi-index work.
Yes, remember we talked about multi-index, isn't it? At different levels. We talked about multi-index. Okay. Now, so the point here is that sometimes when we have our data sets, right, you just need to understand that how your data will look like. And this is just like your Excel. So you see all this NaN. NaN means what? You understand why you have this NaN, isn't it?
Yeah, no value.
Yes, because it's trying to group all this according to what? The region and what the employees. Okay. According to the region and what employees. Then again, if you want to also now this is pivot, isn't it? This is pivot, right? Now they even have another one again called, this is pivot. Now you see in Python, this is how we think about it in Excel. This is like a pivot table in Excel, isn't it? But in Python, beyond this your pivot, you also have another one even called pivot table. You also have pivot what table. Okay, so pivot table, let's say index. What's our index? Let's say index is what? Employees. Let's say index is employees. Let's say our, so what do we want to do with employees now? Do we want to add up, you know, in your pivot table in Excel, by default, what does it do to you? What does it do to your data by default?
Sums it.
Either it sums it up, or what does it do again?
Averages it.
Or take the average or count, isn't it?
Or count.
So here, this is our pivot. It's only summarizing it for us. It's just allocating it. Okay, are you here? Put the data there, but it's not even doing any aggregation there. But in your pivot table, what makes the pivot table? Because it also aggregates for you. So that is why you also have what they call aggregate function. You also have what aggregate function. And by default, what do? We do a sum. Right? We do a sum. So let's see. Aggregate function. Let's see. So what is it saying here? Sum is not a valid function. Okay, so it's not a valid function. Let's see. Which other one is there? Let's say count. Is count a valid function? Aggregate function. Okay, count is not a valid function for data frame. Goodbye. So let's see. If I am not sure of it, isn't it? So what do I do? If I'm not sure of it, I'll just press Shift Tab. Can you see that? Then I'll now look at, okay, how does it work? So we have values, we have index, we have columns, we have aggregate function. So mean, okay, small mean. Do you see where the error was? So let me do it again. Sorry. So it is small letter. The mean is supposed to be lowercase, not uppercase. Okay, let's do it again. So df dot what? Pivot table, isn't it? Index, let's say index is employees. Okay, assuming let's say I use companies, because let me use companies, right? Companies, then aggregate function. Let's aggregate function. Aha. So this one worked, right? Then let's do the same thing. Let's say count. Count. Okay, good. Let's do another one. Let's say sum. Okay, yeah. Can you see that now? Can you see the difference now between your pivot and pivot table now?
Yes, sir.
So this is what we wanted to do initially, but this can only be done with pivot or table. So your pivot only allocates the data where they belong to, but without doing any aggregation. But your pivot table, we what summarize it by what aggregating. Either you do a mean, whether you do a count, whether you do a sum. Is that clear?
Yes, Dr. Francis. But that's because we applied the aggregate function on the
Yes.
book, which we did not apply on the other one.
Yes. Okay. So let's say, for example, so we have df dot, let's say pivot table. Let's say we have our index. Let's say our index is okay. Let's say companies. I'm looking for which one. Let me run this data and check it. So we have employees, we have sales, okay, we have region. Okay, so let me say, for example, let me use employees here. Employees. Then let's say for the values, let's say the values, right? Let's say the values now. I want to see companies and region. Okay, I want to see companies and regions. So I want to see companies and I want to see what the region. Okay, do I want to aggregate it? See, if I run it this way, this is how it comes. But what I want to do, I want to aggregate it, right? So how do I aggregate it? So I want
aggregate function.
Yes, aggregate function, yes. I want to put an aggregate function. I want to use an aggregate function. Let's say we are using the sum. But you see, in this case now, you cannot add up what they call it. You cannot add up these ones now. Is it? Can you add up companies and this thing? But rather, what can you do? When is a qualitative data? What do you now do? Count. You can now use what? A count. But you see, even in this count, why is it showing it this way? Why is it showing it this way?
Because there's only one company.
Yes, for the employees, it's just only one that appears. Right? It only appears one time. Okay, because that's why you see when you understand it from an Excel point, you can easily interpret what is happening here. Okay, let's do it the other way and now check. Let's do it another way now. Let's say, for example, this my index. Let's say it was my companies now. Companies. Okay, let's say here I have employees. Okay, let me even take out this. Okay, let me say region. Let me run this and check. So can you see what has happened now? If I now add employees now to it, employees, and let's run it. You see, it will repeat the same thing. It will repeat the same thing. So if I go back to my data sets, so let's see whether this makes sense or not. Facebook, where's Facebook? So we have how many employees there? 1, 2. Google, how many employees do we have? 1, 2, 3. Microsoft, 1, 2, 3, 4. Can you see why it's counting it like that? But if we had, let's say, like sales, let me take this one out. Let's say I have like sales. Then I say sum of sales. Can you see that it cannot add up this region? So this region will disappear. Can you see that? But if I have used a count, then it can bring both of them for me. But you see, they are all the same thing. So either ways, I will just only take what? 1. So that is the one I want to aggregate on. Okay, so I can now say, okay, give me, okay, let me leave this one here. Let me copy it to the next one. So let me take what is sum. So can you see what has happened now? So if you have other columns you want to also add up, if you have other columns you want to add up, let's say, for example, let's go to the original one. Let's say we have, which other one can we use now? Let's say we have quantity, right? So let's say we have quantity. So let's say I have 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800, 900. What's missing here? Comma. Good. Data frame. Good. Okay. So let's run it now. Check. So now I have quantity, isn't it? So if I now add here, comma, say quantity. Can you see it now? So if I have other columns I want to add. So in your pivot table in Excel, it is I will drag my what? Companies to where? I'll drag companies to where?
To index.
Index.
That's
Then drag what?
Row.
To the row, isn't it?
Yes.
Then
Yes.
drag my what now? Quantity and sales to where now?
Values.
To values.
Values.
Exactly. You see, once you have gotten to this part now, right? What we are doing here. So that shows you are now ready for your data. You see, everything you have learned in Excel, can you see that you have done the same thing in Python? Can you see you can do exactly the same thing in Python? But where the difference is now is that where your data set, just imagine this data set was up to about 2 million rows. Can you do that in Excel?
No, sir.
You see that? So it's the same thing you want to do in your Excel. But because Excel is limited in how we can analyze the size of the data, then that is why we can now come here and do this. Okay? And imagine that this is a transaction that is ongoing. And every day you are having about 3 million transactions going on. You see, Excel will not be able to handle that type of thing. Okay, so the same mindset that you have, the way you want to analyze things, that is exactly what we are doing here. Okay, so that's what we are doing here. Now, there are some other things that you can also look at. Have I shown you how to import data?
Yes, sir.
You know how to import data, right?
PD.read.
Yeah.
It's PD.read now.
Yes, PD.read, exactly. PD.read, right? PD.read. I'm trying to look for some. Okay, let's look at this. Let me look at this data set here. Let's look at this one that we have here. Let's say DF. There's something I want to show you in Excel. Is it in Excel? Now you see in your I'm trying to see which data set would have been nice to explain this. You know, there are some situations where you don't have any data here that can show me that. I don't have any data set. I wanted to illustrate something. You know, in Excel, or has anybody used Power Query here before? Have we used Power Query before? Power Query.
I don't think so. No, sir.
I have not.
You have not, okay. If you have done Power Query, that is when you'd have appreciated this better. Okay, let's look at another example. You know, if look at this, you know, when you are looking at your data, right? You know, when you have your data sets, if you have done Power Query, I think you'd have appreciated this much better because you understand it from an Excel point. But you see, when we are doing Excel, there were certain rules we mentioned, isn't it? What are some of those rules?
No empty spaces.
No empty rows, columns,
All
yes.
tables must have headers.
All tables must have headers, yes.
No merging of cells.
No merging of cells.
Avoid hiding.
Date should be in one column.
You sure?
The date should be in one column.
Date should be on a single word column, isn't it? All dates should be on a single column. Good. All dates should be on a single column. Right. Okay. Which other one again? All dates should be on a single column.
Don't write anything around the table.
Don't hide what?
Don't write anything as in around
okay,
the table.
No obstructions around the data, right? Now
No merging of cells.
Yes, you see, it's those things that will actually help you, right? When you are cleaning the data, what you need to do. Okay, what you need to do. Now, if you see this, okay, let me see if I can get this file for you. I think this file would have explained it better. Let me try and share a file for you. So let's see if we can import. Let me see if I can find any file for you, because this is very important. So when we are dealing with, especially that case where we say all variables or category must be on a single column. I think we also mentioned that now, isn't it?
Yes.
All columns, all dates should be on a single word column, or all dates on a single column, or all categories on a single word column, isn't it? So that is how we usually have stated it. Okay. Let me see. Okay, I think this file will be good. Let me try and let me send this. Let me share this file with you on the chat. Let me share this file with you on the chat. Because after this now, once we have got this part now, I think we can go to proper data sets now. Or maybe, by the way, are we meeting? Tomorrow is public holiday, right?
Yes.
Are we meeting tomorrow?
If you can, sir, we are ready.
If we can,
Oh.
okay, then that's fine.
No, sir, if you can, because I'm sure we'll be
Okay.
available.
Yeah, then that's fine. So we'll try and meet tomorrow. Then, because I want to see if by this month, let us see how we can finish this Python. Okay, but once we are done with
What
Python,
timing can be talked about after the class in the WhatsApp chat.
Yeah, so we can agree on that time. But from 12 will also be fine, chat. Anytime from 12 will be fine. If I can, let me share that file now. There's one particular file I wanted to share, but I cannot see this thing here. Unless if we create it. Except let me just create it quickly. Let me just create the file quickly and let's just go to Excel. Let's do it in Excel. Let's do it in Excel. Let me just create a file quickly in Excel and let's work with it in Excel. Okay. Now you see, most times when we are working with data, we say all dates will be on a single column, isn't it? All dates will be on a single column. So let's say this is a variable. Let's say we have group. Then maybe let's say you have revenue. Let's say you have revenue. Let's say you have cost. Let's say we pick dates. Let's say dates 1st January. Let's say 2022. Let's drag that down. Okay, anyway, let's stop here. So that's your date, isn't it? Then your grouping. So let's say, for example, here I have A. Maybe I have here B. Then here will be, let's say, B. Then here I have C. Right? C. All right, we have it like this. Then let's say run between what now? Let's say 1 and 10. Okay. Let's run that down. Okay, good. Or let me say this one round between 1 and 20. All right, good. So let's run this. So copy, paste, values only. Good. Now you see, whenever we are working with this type of data, this is called an unpivot. This is called what? Unpivoted data. This unpivot. This is unpivot. Now, if you say it's pivoted data simply means what you are doing here. So, for example, in your pivot data, for example, I have A, I have B, I have A, B, I have C, I have D. Isn't it? So let's say I have equals to run between what and what now? Let's say 1 and 20. So let's have this. So let's run this down. All right, good. So we have a data set like this. So let me save this. Let me save it as pivot. Okay. Now this is an Excel file, isn't it? So let me close and send it to you on the chat. Pivot. Have you seen it now?
Yes, sir.
So try and open the file, or somebody can share on the WhatsApp just in case. Just in case. Okay. Are we there? Are we open the file now?
Yes, we have, sir.
Doctor, we have.
Eh?
We have, sir.
Yes, please.
You have. Okay, good. Now you know how to select your parts. To select the part of the file.
Yes, sir.
Do you know how to select the part of the file?
Yes.
Yeah, you can.
Yes. Okay, let me show you quickly. So if I open my Internet Explorer, my Windows Explorer, so this is the file here. Can you see the file? Can you see the file pivot?
Yes, sir.
So I'll come here. Can you see copy paths?
Yes, sir.
I'll copy paths. Okay, so once I copy it, I'll go back to my. So much later, once we are now familiar with, we now understand why sometimes it's important that we have to also open our, or you have a working directory, right? Where you have all your Python folders. Okay. And again, you also notice that the way you also open your Jupyter Notebook, we also determine how you are going to import data or not. If I open it from the root, right, or I open it from a folder where this file is, I don't have to now copy this file, this part. So let's look at it. So if I want to import this, if I want to bring in this data, how do I bring in this data now? How do I bring in this data? Okay, so let's call this data. Okay, let's call this data on pivot, right? Equals to pd.read what?
Excel.
Excel, is it not? If it was a CSV file, you know what to do.
Yes, sir.
Then what do I do again?
R.
Read it, isn't it? Read it. All right, so if I say on pivot, you know there were two files there.
There are two sheets.
There are two sheets, isn't it? So one is called pivot. Is it not? So the same thing, pd.read what? Excel, isn't it? Then I will now read. But remember, in this case now, I will now have to select what's the sheet name. Sheet name is what? Pivot. Can you see that now? So now I have two files now. Can you see them now? Have you seen what we have done now? By default, it will pick the first sheet for you. But if you want to specify the sheet name, where I want to pick the data from, then this is how you are going to do it. But remember, the difference between an Excel file and a CSV file, what's the difference? What is different between a CSV file and an Excel file?
CSV has a maximum of 3 sheets.
A CSV has what?
Maximum of 3 sheets. You can't open more than 3 sheets.
A CSV file has a maximum of 3 sheets. Is that correct?
I think it's I think the CSV is also separated by commas.
It's also separated by what?
By commas, the values.
Yeah, with CSV, you can only open one sheet.
It has only one sheet.
Yeah.
A CSV has only one sheet. Okay. But an Excel file, we have what? Multiple sheets. So that's why it's also important to understand how you are saving your file. If you know the file is only going to have one sheet, then, and it's going to be very large, it is best you save it as what? A CSV. You get? But if you are going to have multiple sheets, then it's better you save it as what? An Excel. But that's why you see most time when they're exporting data to you, they export it to you as what? A CSV. Okay. So that you should take note of that. Then just in case sometimes you are trying to open the data and it's not opening, either you save it as a CSV or save it as an Excel. All depends on which one is giving you the error. Like before, my own, for example, Excel file never opens in my own case. Okay, to give you problem when you're trying. So what I would have done is I would have saved it as what? A CSV file before I now start working with it. Okay, so now we understand how to import the data, isn't it? We now know how to import the data, right?
Dr. Francis, just
yes.
Take you really back. How do you, where your cursor is now, right? You want to bring in new stuff. That I can see that input stuff. How does it come up for you?
Okay, to bring in, so you just put plus now.
Yeah, when I click plus on my own, I don't see the in, right? You see input and you see all those.
Okay, confirm that your own is code, not maybe markdown or something.
No, it's code. I can see that it's code. Yeah. But I'm using Jupyter Lite, not Jupyter.
Okay, then that's why. That's why. But really, as long as your codes are running.
But it's not running because I can't see that in. So even when I
even when you switch it to code.
Yeah, it's on code.
Share
it's not on Markdown. It's on code.
Yeah, share screen. Let's see.
Okay. I'm gonna share. Can you see my screen now?
See me. We can see your screen.
Yeah, we can see your screen.
Yeah, so I can't see this. You have something here like input, right? And then another one that
write 1 + 1. Let me see. Type 1 + 1. Let me see whether it works.
Okay, you just take this, right? 1 + 1. Yeah. Enter.
Run. Let us see. It's working now. So in your own case, instead of rewriting, it's just using the numbers there now. 1, 2. It's running now.
It's running now. Okay. Okay, so it doesn't matter for me then.
So you did not put a variable. We called it the variable, then put reads.
Sorry, say that again.
You call the variable, for example, call the variable data equals to data equal to PD.
What?
PD.
Yes.
PD dot read.
Dot.
Read now. Read underscore. Excel. Right? Excel. Open brackets. Put R there. Read R. Then close the brackets. Close brackets.
What happened?
Ctrl Z. You highlighted and deleted now. Ctrl Z. Yes. Click on that last thing. Close brackets. Enter. Run it.
What's the shortcut for enter now? For run. Sorry.
It depends on your. I want to see that shift enter or Ctrl enter.
Okay.
So let's see. Unterminated string. You see, you did not close that last one. You didn't close the last one there now. Under Excel, where you have XLS, you have to put the close this thing there.
I need to close it.
Where you have Excel, no XLS now. You close the inverted comma now. Close the inverted comma. Remove one bracket and close the inverted comma. Yes.
Okay. I see what you mean.
All right, try and run. Let's see.
Okay, so shift enter. Let's see.
Yes. PD not. Is this a new sheet? What is the one you have been running before?
No, it's the same sheet that we just copied now. The one you posted on the link.
No, but go on. That means you have to import the library now. Import pandas.pd now. Go up where you have 1 + 1. Delete 1 + 1 there. Delete your 1 + 1. Then type or go to a new line. Okay, go to a new line. Import pandas.
Pandas what?
As PD.
As what?
PD. Run. Run back that your first line. Run it. Well, that first one hasn't finished running though. Okay, it has run. So, oh, enemies at work.
Village people. Village people.
They have come. Now, remember what I was telling you that some, like, come down to the last one. So, no such file directory. File not found.
This is from my C drive now.
This is your C drive?
I just save the data and then I copy the part. So it's from here now. I just copy the part.
Copy, good. All right. So go back there. Let's see. Why don't you use the normal Jupyter notebook we have been using so that to avoid all these problems?
Yeah, I was trying to get that one, but these are the options that I have because I'm using the web version.
Just use the normal one we are using though. To avoid
Which one is the normal one now? It's not this one, right?
Go and download Anaconda. I think we have been saying it. Anaconda. Anaconda has everything.
Yeah. Okay, no problem. Yeah, go ahead, Dr. Francis.
Oh, that's fine. That's yeah. By tomorrow we can sort you out.
Please, thank you. Sorry for the disruption, class.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Okay, now we have our data. Now, everybody, we have our data inside now.
Yes, sir.
We have our data, isn't it? Now you see, this is what they usually refer to as a panel data. Panel data. This is called what? For those who are into maybe econometrics, they will call this one panel data. It's called a panel data. Now let me show you this. So if we see on pivot, right? So we have our data is unpivoted. Unpivoted means that okay, let's run it now. So let's say pivot. So I want to unpivot the data now. So let's look at it. Let's use. So let me call it pivoted. Okay, let's say pivot 1, or let's say pivoted. Now I'll use unpivot dot pivot. What's the name of this table? What's the name of this table?
In the raw data is on pivot.
So we have on pivot, then we have pivot. Okay, let's use this one. You see, this one is pivoted. That means this pivoted. Can you see A, B, C, D? And remember what we said? We said all variables should be on a single column. Something like that. You get? So which means that assuming I want to take all these ones now to a single column like this. Can you see? So this is what they call, this is unpivoted. This is unpivoted, right? So I want to move it to this structure like this. Okay, I want to move it to this structure like this. Okay, so let's see. So let's say dot pivot index. Let's say index. Index now will be our index. Okay, in that data I did not create. I only created the data set. I didn't create it. I didn't create dates for that pivot, isn't it?
For the pivot, no.
Yes, on the pivot I didn't put dates there. I just only put numbers. Isn't it? I didn't put dates here. Okay, let's see whether this one will still work for us. Okay, let's run it and see. Okay, that unpivoted dot pivot. Okay, let's run. So let's say, for example, so we have dates for the unpivoted, right? Dates. Let's say columns. What's our columns now? Do we label it anything? Did we put any label there?
So is it for the pivots, for the unpivoted?
Yes.
For the unpivoted, we have dates, group, revenue, cost.
We have we have what? Date, group, revenue, cost, isn't it? Date, group, revenue, cost. Okay, good. So since I have date, group, revenue, cost, so let's say, for example, I will take group and revenue. So let's say columns, I will take group. The way I have values, I'll take revenue. Let's see. The problem here. Index. All right, let's run that. Hey, whoa, enemies have come. So they say revenue. Is it revenue or revenue? So that type keyword. Revenue now. Revenue. Okay, let's see. On pivot, index, dates, yes. Columns, say group. Values, say revenue. I hope they are correct. Revenue. So what's the error saying now? If scalar is any key or key error revenue. Okay, let me take that. Let me run it again and see. Let me run it again and see. Okay. So if we have, for example, let's say pivoted equals to on pivot dot pivot. So we have index equals to what? Dates. Let me see this one. It's still giving me. Okay, so we need columns. Let's say group. Then values should be, if I say cost, let me see cost. Here this one work now. So let me see pivoted. This one worked, right? So let me use revenue now. What's the problem with revenue? So revenue is the problem. Is it spelling or what? Revenue.
So could we try cost and see?
I did cost now. Cost work. Cost work. I see cost work, but I'm trying to understand why revenue don't work. Now see what has happened. You see what we are doing now. We are moving all these now to take A, B, C. Is it not? So you take A, B, C. Then take anywhere I see cost now, take it to A. Can you see that? Anywhere I see, so this first one will be there, isn't it? Then take these ones 297167. Take it to B. Take it to B like this. Can you see that? Why take these other last ones to C? Have you seen it? So what have we done there? We have what? Pivoted. So what we have done here is what? To pivot it. Okay. If we are moving it back to this structure, this is called on pivot. Can you see that? This is pivot, and this is what? On pivot. But why is revenue not working is what I don't understand. Did I use, is this a small R or big R? Let me copy this guy out.
It was bigger.
I don't know what the enemies are doing here. Revenue. Anyways, let me use the cost that is working first. I'll come back and look at that one. Okay, that's what I wanted to show you there. Okay, because sometimes you also see that. I don't know if that, but I wanted to show how to use, for example, if I have more than one, maybe like that revenue and cost, how can I now spread it? So I will have the revenue part, I will have the cost part. Okay, let me see the pivot. So let's see pivot now. This is pivot, right? This is pivot now. So for example, from this one, I want to now on pivot, which means I want to have a column where I will have the variables, let's say group A, B, C, D, right? So everything will now be on a single column. So remember when we say all variables or categories should be on a single column. Is that not it? All variables or categories should be on a single column. So these are different categories of variables, isn't it? I want to put it on a single column. So what am I doing there? What am I going to do? What am I going to do in that case?
So, and then you want to take this A, B, C, and D to one single
to
column.
a single column, exactly. So that I will have something like this. I will have, let's say, the group. Then I'll have the values. I'll have the group, I will have the values. So here I will have A, B, C, D. Can you see that? A, you can repeat them as many as you want. B, C, D, as many as you want. So all I'm doing, I am moving this one towards a single column. So in that case, what are we doing there? We are doing what? Pivoting. Pivoting. And this is what I would normally refer to as what? A panel data. A panel what? Data. Or sometimes they can call it stacked. Or you can call it a stack. Or they call it stacked data. Okay. So whenever you have your data and you want to move here, you have maybe in three columns or 4 columns. I want to move them into one column. So what we are doing is called what? On pivoting. Do we get that? It's called what? On pivoting. So if I want to unpivot, so what we can do there, we can use what they call let's look at it. So for example, if I have pivot dot stack, you have what they call stack. So if I run this now, let's see. Can you see what we have now? So if I say this is data equals to, so if I run data, so this is what I now have. This is what I now have. And even sometimes again, you can even do, if it's already like this, right? If it's already like this, sometimes you can even do a pivot dot stack. Then you can even do a reset. Then you can say dot reset index. So if in case, for example, you want to go back to the original index, reset index. What's the problem? Okay, dot reset. Yes, dot reset. So it has come back to this. So you now have this level 0, level 1. But you know, this is for the group, this is the values, isn't it? And you know that in your, when you are dealing with your, what do you call it now? In pandas, right? In pandas, how do we take the names in pandas? How do we take the names in pandas?
So names.
Yes, how do you replace these names in pandas now? Pandas. But first of all, can we differentiate between a pivoted data and unpivoted? Can we differentiate between a pivot data and unpivot? This data now, is it pivot or unpivoted?
So it's pivoted, but I know it's pivoted because we saw when we created it. But
so what I need you to just understand, only you understand the structure. You see, when the structure, when for example you have a particular variable, right, is on a single column like this, is called what? Unpivoted. But when it is separated on a different column, so A will be on his own column, B will have his own column, C will have his own column, then that is what? A pivoted. Okay, so that way I just need to understand the structure. Because what we want is that normally we want to what? Unpivot it, we want it in this structure. So that way when we are dealing with Power Query, we'll still come back to this. But it will be easier there to do. Okay, but it's good that you understand it also in Python. So whenever you have an so this is what we normally refer to as what? Either a panel data, or something they call it a stack data. It's called stack data. Okay, also called unpivoted data. So difference is that it has just what? One word column for the variable name. One column for the variable name. But where the same variable A, B, C, or D, they now have different columns. Is it not? They now have different what? Columns with their data. Then in that case, this becomes what? This is called what?
Pivoted table.
A pivoted table, yes. It's called a pivoted table. So if I want to move it from this to a single column, what do? I will need to what? Unpivot. Can you see that? I will need to what? Unpivot or stack it. So in Python, they call it stack. To stack the data. Stack the data. Okay, it's called stack the data. Okay, so those are the things that we normally do in our Excel. Okay, but this is just to show you how it's done here. Do you know even Excel will not be able to do this unless it will be very difficult for you to use your normal Excel functions to do this. That's why you now have it's only Power Query that will make life easy for you, that you can actually transform your data this way. Otherwise, you have to come to use Python. If you cannot use Power Query, then use Python. Okay, so it's good to just understand the structure between pivoted data and unpivoted data. So the ones that where you have what? Separated columns, maybe a particular variable, right? But instead of them to be on one column, they now have separate columns for their data. So this is called a pivoted. So in that case, what we want to do, same thing with your dates. So imagine you have dates: January, February, March, April, May. You see that? June, July, August, September, October, November, December. In that case, what kind of data is this? What kind of data is this?
It is still a pivoted data.
Pivoted data, exactly. So if I want to transform these dates to a single column, so what do? What do you now
use dot stack.
Pivot.
You unpivot it. So that's your stacking. That's the stacking, yes. So that's basically it. But by the way, this revenue, I don't understand why it was not picking. Let's go back to that data set. On your own, did you work in your own case? Revenues. Did you work in your own? Did you try to your whether it was your own work? That's revenue. When you put revenue there. Let me rub this off. Because once you are able to transform your data already, they just know that you have now become a proper, you can now do your data analysis with your Python. So what was the problem? Let's see. Okay, let's say on pivot.columns. Who has seen the problem?
A space after the E.
Space. Can you see how space can embarrass you? Can you see how space can embarrass you? So, in that case, what can we do? Okay.
I don't think we can.
So let me go back to the original file now. Remove that space, then import it. Aha. So it's not normal, isn't it? So it's normal now.
So I don't get how you did it, sir.
No, I just went to my Excel file. That Excel file, I removed the space from there now.
Okay.
Imported it back. Because we have not got to this thing, what they call it, text, how to work with text yet. So now I'm not really going into all those. You have what they call regular expressions, but that one will be a little bit technical. But now we have started cleaning it there. But this would have just been the easiest way to do it. So let's see. Okay, good. So let's try now. So here I was going to bring in cost, right? Revenue. I think revenue has worked now, right? Revenue has worked now. So did you understand why revenue was not working?
Yes, sir.
Because of the space.
Because of that space. You see, space is a character. And that character, you see, you can be doing that thing for 1 year. You still be giving the same error. So now I say, anytime you see the data and you're giving that error, just go and look at the data and try to understand where is that problem and be looking out for spaces. Be looking out for what? Spaces. Very important. Be looking out for spaces. Now, the same way, you know, here we have used just one variable, right? Pivoted. Here we use only one. Here it was only one variable. Okay. So when you have your data like this data is what? Unpivoted. So pivot means that what? To pivot your data means what?
The alphabets here will be on different columns.
Yes, your group, you want to separate them into different what? Columns.
Exactly.
But this is for one variable. So imagine you now have two variables. So let's say unpivoted 2. Say unpivot dot pivot. Now please take note. Take note. What's the name of this data that we're working with? This data we're working with is called what?
Pivot.
On pivot.
Is it pivot or on pivot? So if I say on pivot, this is the data now, isn't it? So let me assume I call it data. Let me call it data here so that you will not miss it. So if I call it data here, right? So look at where I'm calling on pivot now. I'm going to call it what? Data, isn't it? So what do I want to do with my data? Can you see that? My data was unpivoted. So what do I want to do now? What do I want to do to it now?
I want to pivot it.
I want to pivot it, exactly. I want to pivot. So can you see that now? Pivoted. So you get it now, right? So this is to what? Pivot your data. Pivot your data. All right. So that's pivoted, or I can call it data 2, or whatever I want to do. Now, if I now have more than one variable, so here we only have revenue, but assuming I still have costs. So let's say pivoted 2 is equals to data.pivot, right? What will be the index? It will be my dates. We now have columns is equals to group. Now that column is what I want to. That column is not group, right? Values. So where are the values? The values are where? In revenue and cost. So let me say revenue, and also let me take cost. So revenue and cost now. Revenue and cost. So let's say pivoted 2. So can you see what has happened? So it has now separated them. ABC, ABC. So if you have 3, 4 data sets that way, you still work that same way. Now, how do I check the data type? If I want to check data type, how do I check the data type? How do I check the data type?
Is type. Use type.
Type like this.
Okay, brackets. Okay, voila.
Oh. The pivoted should be inside the bracket.
Okay, so it will be type, then pivoted. Like this.
Yeah.
So this telling that is what?
It's a data frame.
Is a data what frame? It's telling that is what a data what frame. Okay, the data frame. So if I have one data set, 2 data sets, that's the same way I'm going to do it. Okay. So when it is pivoted, where was that other one? Pivot. So this is a pivot table, isn't it? It's a pivoted table. Is this not a pivoted table?
Yes, it is.
The pivoted table, isn't it? So assuming I want to call it, let me call it data 2. Can we call it data 2? Data 2. Would that be okay?
Yes.
All right, so data 2. Okay. So if I run data 2 here, so what kind of data is this?
Pivoted.
A pivoted data. You know, so if I want to unpivot it now, what do I do? If I want to unpivot this data now, what do I need to do?
Good reset.
I want to unpivot this data now. What do I do?
Dot stack.
Dot stack, is it not? So data 2 dot what? Stack, right? Dot stack. So what do I do again? What do I do?
I thought that's it. Or is it? Do we still do reset?
Reset just means that I want to remove this index now. That's what reset is. You're just removing this your index now. That's what you reset. So if I have df is equals to, so I run df. So this is what I have. So if I have type DF, this is what?
A series.
A series. So how do I make it a data frame?
PD dots. Data frame.
Data frame.
Brackets. DF.
DF. Okay. Then if I call here DF is equals to, so if I run DF, isn't it? So how do I label it now? If I want to put the column name, how do I put the column name? This as sales or as revenue, how do I do that?
DF dot columns equal to
dot columns equals to what?
Am I talking? Let me just use my shift tab to confirm.
Yeah, if you're not sure, right?
It's not DF is equal to PD dot data frame. Then the bracket DF, comma. Then columns equals to square bracket, then apostrophe. We'll not name the column. We can call it
there's a revenue.
Revenue, yeah.
Like this.
Yeah.
Enemies. And it has labeled it and done on that for us. So let's go back. So let's run that again. Where is it now? So this is data 2, right? So DF. So let's run this now. So if I run DF now, so this is data here. Okay. So now let's run it as, let me call it as DF1. Let me call it DF1. Okay, let's run DF1. All right, has it worked?
Yeah.
Yes.
So you see why those little things, label your columns. You see why it's important now? You see why they're important right now? Now, someone was talking about the research, right? So if you look at it now, so for example, if I have this, right? Let's say I don't want that. So if I say dot, let's say reset index. The reset, can you see what has happened? You know, by default, the index will be for 0. So now it's now using those first ones as what? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's what that reset index is doing for. You're just taking it back to the original weights. So that's what you're just doing there. Otherwise, this would have been your index. Here, 0, 1, 2, 3. But now, because it's having ABC to be 0, ABCD 1, ABCD 2, ABCD 3, then your data is there. So that's about your. So you now know how to pivot and unpivot now, isn't it? We now know how to pivot and unpivot, isn't it?
Yes, I will do.
Okay. I think this is basically all you would have used in your Excel. Okay, let me look at this data. Let me see data too. Is this a pivot table or pivot table?
Pivot table.
This is what?
Pivot.
Pivot table.
Pivot table, isn't it? A pivot table, okay? A pivot table. Now, there are some times here, you see this data like this, right? You now want a situation where you have, let me see how I can do this. You see here, you can have your A and B, right? But you want maybe your C and D to be like, you have the variable name C and D. Then you now have the values. Okay, you now have the values. So what you do in that case, you have your A, B, okay, but you want C and D to now come as a group or as a variable, right? Why these numbers will remain as what? Values, okay? So in that case, it's what they refer to as melt. So you melt the data. Melt the data. So let's say, for example, data 2 dot melt, okay? What are the variables? If I cannot remember, let me see. Can you see ID variables? Can you see ID variables? So it's called ID variables. Or sometimes I don't always remember them. So ID variables, what should it be? So in this case, it will be what? C and what now? C and D. Like this, right? Can you see what has happened? It will label it. So let's say, for example, I call this, let me call this, what should I call it now? Okay, let's say we call this, let's say Nigeria. Let's say we call this Ghana. So, okay, they are not present in the data frame. Okay, they are not present in the data frame. So here I have C, here I have D. So let's look at it now. What has happened? So you see your C. Can you see your D? You can see your C, you can see your D there, right? So these are the values you have there. This is C, this is for D. Then for your variables, you have what? A, so all the A's. Anyway, I see A now. Can you see your A? They will put the value of 2, 13, 1, 11. Can you see they still maintain the same structure? But in this case now, it's now going to take your A and B to match it with what we have with your C and D. Can you see what it's doing there? So what you are doing is what they call melting. You are melting the data. Sometimes this can be it can also be useful. Okay, so it's called melt. Because you know the way the data will come, it may not come in the proper way that you want it. But you still want to have a situation where you can have it this way. You want the structure to look like this. So what is doing melt? We'll look for some data sets where we can show a proper use case for these ones. Okay, we'll look for a proper use case. If I want to rename my column, how do I rename this column to? Let's say, for example, rename this one to group. I want to rename this one to, let's say, revenue. How do I rename them?
DF. So
in this case now, okay, let me call, let's call this one equals to DF, right? So let's do that now. So DF what?
Let's rename.
By the way, if I don't want to see the whole data, I want to just see only the top, maybe the top 5 data. How do I do that? Top 5 data.
Head.
Head, exactly. DF.head. So you only show me the top 5 data. All right, so let's rename it. So how do I rename it? So DF.what?
Rename.
Rename.
Bracket. Columns.
Columns.
Is equal to curly bracket.
Curly bracket, yes.
Variable.
So variable.
Double
What do I
column.
call it? Let's say group. Or let's call it group, right? Then let's say where we have what? Values, right?
Yeah.
Call it what now? Let's say revenue. Something like this. So we can call it back inside our DF again. Can you see it now? Can you see what has happened?
So this is not the way we did it before. This is not the way we did it before.
Which one?
As in to change the name of the column. When we change the previous name,
Okay, no, that one we are calling it straight. We call this straight when we're doing the PD data frame. We name it directly from the source. But here we are saying the data already exists. Now we want to now rename it. Okay. There are different ways of doing the same thing, right? But one is applied. You can apply that first one we have done. That first one we have done. That was good now.
I think it's here. Abi?
Was it here?
No.
Somewhere here. It was here.
Yes.
So from the onset, while we are calling it in the data frame, we say call this name revenue. So from the source, we can call the name revenue. But in this case, the data is already there already for us, right? So we now want to what? Rename it. You get? We now want to what? Rename it. That's all now. We now want to rename it. In that case, we only rename one variable. Here we are renaming two variables. We are now renaming two variables. We now rename two variables. So that's basically what we have to do. So maybe tomorrow when we meet now, we'll just look for a larger data set. Okay, and that thing that we have to, okay, maybe tomorrow we'll look at that. Yeah? We'll look at how to do all this concatenation. You know how to concatenate in Excel?
In Excel, you taught us in Python when we first started.
Concatenate. Okay, you know how to merge. You know how to merge in Excel, in SQL. Do your merge, your joins, and the rest.
SQL, inner join. And
exactly that way. Exactly, all those your joins. So tomorrow, I think that's what we'll look at. How to do all those joins: inner join, outer join.
So in Python.
Yes, in Python, yes. So that will do tomorrow. I think that will do tomorrow. So I think once we are done with that, then I think we are ready for the visualization. But once you are done with data visualization, then I think you are good as you can say you can use Python as a data analyst.
So the visualization, is it still visualization in Python or are we using
same way you do it in Excel? The same way you do it in Excel is what we are doing in Python, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the same way we do it in Excel, that's what we are doing in Python. So when we go to something like Kaggle now, any of those competitions now, you can now start applying it. Then you see when they are doing your EDA, you now see how they are doing all the analysis. Okay. So once we are done with visualization, then the last part will now be machine learning. So once we are done with machine learning, so that's now the data science part. All we are doing here is data analysis. So when you can you see why data analysis also need to learn this kind of programming, Python. So as at this point, you just call yourself a data analyst. Okay. But by the time we now start getting into the point of machine learning, deployments, then you can now start calling yourself a data science. So at this part, we are just stopping at what? Data analysis for now. Then once we are done with auto visualization, then we'll go into machine learning. And I think we'll be done with Python. So that's why we should try and see as much as possible any public holiday we have, let's try and utilize it. All right, I think we can stop here. So we'll continue from here tomorrow.
Thank you, sir.
All right, guys.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate your time, sir.
All right, no problem.
Thank you, Dr. Francis.
All right.
Thank you, Doctor.
All right, so please try and practice what we have done today because we are going to build on it by tomorrow. All right, take care.
Bye-bye, sir.
Bye.
All right, guys, thank you for coming.
Let you put down your hand. We are not calling you today. We've already overshot our time.
Just to ask questions.
All right, so bye-bye, everyone.